All right, good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 22 minutes to 7 o'clock, and thank you for staying tuned to Citizen TV as we take a look at what's trending in the country. And I want us to begin by the stories that are following up for you. We call it the Tuesday's Diary. And first of all, we're following up on the story of the two members of parliament from Murang'a County who are wanted by the police over investigations into the clashes witnessed on Sunday in Murang'a County. You're talking about Dinde Nyoro, member of parliament for Kiharu constituency, as well as Alice Wahome. Yesterday, they said that they will not yield to the quote-unquote summons by the Inspector General of Police. They've been wanted to report to the DCI Nyeri headquarters, but they are saying that they have not been served formally. Therefore, they will not be showing up and saying that they are just being intimidated through the use of police in political matters. But also the story that we're following for you is what now is becoming a violent sort of a political situation, as several leaders have been condemning the chaos witnessed on Sunday in Murang'a County. But also we have heard from the National Cohesion and Integration Commission saying that we are trending on dangerous grounds, bearing in mind the terms that hustlers versus dynasties, they said that this is risky for the nation and could be a precursor to similar events like what happened in Rwanda 26 years ago. We don't know that that's alarmist or it is the reality, but also the story that we're following for you is the dissolution of parliament. You remember that Justice Weldon Koril some few weeks ago gave instructions or directed that a panel of judges of at least 3 be constituted by the Chief Justice to hear the case in which some petitioners want or rather are challenging his advisory. That mention should be happening tomorrow, the 7th of October. We are hoping to hear from the Chief Justice. If that doesn't happen, then we'll wait for the mention tomorrow, by which time we will know the status of that particular case, as was filed by some 2 Kenyans petitioning against the advisory of the Chief Justice to the President to dissolve Parliament for failing to pass the 2/3 gender rule. Now let's focus on the stories of the day, and to talk to us, we already have Gladys Wanga from Homa Bay County. We also have Gladys Boss from Uasin Gishu County. Good morning, both of you. And of course, we're waiting to be joined by one Dinde Nyoro, the Member of Parliament for Kiharu constituency. We had also invited Sabina Shege from Murang'a County. As soon as she's able to join us, we'll bring her on board. But as we begin this, I want to begin by giving you an opportunity to reflect on what you've been seeing. Of course, a very heated end of the week last week. And if you had to say that Sunday is the first day of the week, then a very bad start with some 2 people dying in Murang'a County. We've seen the families grieving. What are your thoughts and reflections on this? Starting with you, Gladys Wanga.
Thank you, Sam, for having me this morning. It's very, very unfortunate what happened in Murang'a. It should be condemned in the strongest terms. Politics is yet to begin. I mean, we don't have to do it at all costs. You know, I don't think anybody should say I must be president at all costs, or this must happen at all costs. So it's most unfortunate, and I hope that we will get to the bottom of who actually planned the violence. And usually, Sam, when there are problems such as those, I mean, I don't think there's need to push on. If as a politician I'm supposed to go somewhere and I can see that there is tension, I can put off my visit. I can say, let the tension be calmed down. But this idea of we must do it at all costs, we must go by all means, generating tension. We have seen people. We have seen people who look like they were ferried. Some faces we know. To just go and cause violence in Murang'a, unacceptable.
Right, and you said that there are some faces. I don't know whether you're referring to the front page of the Daily Nation. You'll see. What do I call him? There's a man there. The image is very clear, but also some chats on social media have been claiming that he's a young man from Kibra constituency. I don't know the truth in that. Is that what you're referring to, Honorable Wanga?
Yes, him plus a few others whom we know and have asked, and we have told us they were transported from Nairobi here by allies of the deputy president to go to Murang'a to provide security there. What form of security do you need when you're just going to church to worship, unless you're actually sending them to go and cause chaos?
Okay, of course, like I said, I don't know if they have the image of the Daily Nation to take a look at that image. Of course, there is no caption there, so you didn't know who that is, but that's the image that is doing circulation in social media. So I don't know what should happen in the investigations as they begin.
This man, Sam,
right?
You see him at the Deputy President's home, having lunch there in one of those many barazas that the Deputy President holds in Karen. He is there eating a big piece of meat in another picture in the same T-shirt. So when people come here to say that, oh, you know, this is wrong and so on, why do you have the Deputy President supporters from Nairobi on the streets of Keno causing chaos there? I mean, why should that be the case? If there's supposed to be any tension, let it be of the people of Murang'a. But if it is pre-planned, such as carrying this young man, whom we see in a photo in the Deputy President's home not so long ago, in the same T-shirt, in Murang'a running around like he's the one who owns Keno, it is completely unfair to the people of Murang'a for the Deputy President to import chaos into Murang'a. It is completely unacceptable.
All right, Honorable Wanga, I would want to say that those are just thoughts. We have not verified to say that that's the same person that appears in some photos of the Deputy President, but all the same investigations might be conducted to identify that. But I know, Honorable Wanga, Honorable Boss, if you can hear me, we know that politicians mobilize to hold their political rallies, and it's not always that you have people attending a rally, all of them coming from the same region or from the local, among the locals. So what is the value of this mobilizing, even as we see that one did in Nyoro and Alice Wahome are wanted for allegedly mobilizing crowds into Murang'a?
Thank you, Sam. But I think the larger question we should be asking as the Kenyan public and the Kenyan taxpayers is that what is the the Independent Police Oversight Authority doing? Because it was clearly seen that the police used excessive force. They threw tear gas. There are videos of the police shouting and so on. So the point is, anyone can have a rally. People are entitled to mobilize people to attend a rally, just the way you announce and inform people that this event is going to happen, for people to come to the event. There is nothing wrong with that. It is the job of the National Police Service to ensure that the place is safe and to ensure that any people who are intent on causing violence do not get there. So by the time people were being ferried in buses, where were the police? Because there are several police checkpoints before you get to Kennel. So this is a failure of the National Police Service in providing security for the people of Kenya. It is a failure on the Independent Police Oversight Authority for not ensuring that when the police fails in performing its duties, that they must take action and intervene. That's the reason why we had them. So that is the question we should be asking. By the time the tires were put in that place, where were the local police? We should be asking the county commandant, because it's not easy for anyone to even get into Eldoret town and put tires on the road and start burning them without the police.
Honorable Boss, just allow me to cut you short, because you said that the police used excessive force. I'm just wondering, when they lit, or the young people lit bonfires and burnt tires on the roads, how are the police supposed to quell this with reasonable force?
You see, you must think about, first of all, any movement of persons, and by the time somebody takes tires onto a road and lights it up, surely the police would have seen it. And especially if they knew that there was an upcoming function, it means there was police presence. So the police cannot tell me that they stumbled upon the fire, that they didn't know. Then what kind of police force are they? Usually there is the intelligence officers who are also in various areas and deployed when a big event is about to happen, especially if it is an event that is being attended by the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. So they shouldn't pretend to us that they had no knowledge or that they were taken by surprise, and therefore by the time they were intervening, they had no choice but to throw tear gas, because they should have been able to apprehend those persons even before they lit up the tires, or even by the time they lit up the second one. So how incompetent are the police?
Okay, you said that the police are incompetent. I want us to listen to...
I said how incompetent are they? And then on the things that it seems that Gladys Wanga seems to know the individual who is on the headlines. She's mentioning that she has pictures of him, that he's from Kibra, that he's from Nairobi. I hope she has given that information to the police, because I think she's a witness. She must testify in this case on violence, because she seems to be quite knowledgeable about
Honorable Wanga, you're being named as a witness. How do you respond?
I'm suggesting that she should be a witness.
First of all,
and if I was the Inspector General, I would summon her.
Sorry, Honorable Boss, allow Wanga to respond.
First of all, Sam, let me say, we cannot choreograph, organize violence, transport people to places where we are going so that we look like we have big crowds, transport them to go and fight there, and then we start blaming the police, really, surely. The first responsibility to have peace and stability is with us as the politicians. I do not understand why, if the deputy president was going to church in Keno, why did he need ferried crowds? Why? If you're going to church, you come with your Bible and walk into church and pray and then leave. But because you want to look like you have big crowds in every center, you ferry these people who wait for you there to look like big crowds in those centers. It is unacceptable. Secondly, on the issue of... Secondly, on the issue of...
Honorable Boss, allow Wanga to finish.
Secondly, when Gladys Boss was speaking, I was just giving her time to speak. But when I'm speaking, she wants to shout through the speaking.
Please carry on.
I'm telling some hard truths. On the issue of me being a witness, these pictures are everywhere on social media. You can see clearly this person in Karen, then you see the same person in Keno, then you see the same person greeting the deputy president somewhere also. So really, I don't need to witness anything. It is there to be seen.
Okay, all right, I'll take that as your response. And joining us this morning also is one Ndindi Nyoro. He's the Member of Parliament for Kiharu constituency. He's apparently wanted by the police as he is suspected to have ferried some young people into Murang'a County. And I want to begin from there. Good morning, Honorable Nyoro. And who brought these people who appear not to be residents of Murang'a County into that event?
Thank you very much, Sam, for this chance. I want to be very honest and not to play politics this morning, because I've read the newspapers and it seems they also have some credible information on what happened. As early as Thursday last week, I contacted our county commissioner of Murang'a and I gave him information which we are being given by the youth, who we are being called to go to a hotel called Edgewood in Murang'a to plan for the chaos on Sunday. Then there was another meeting at Thika Greens Hotel where Murang'a Women Rep Sabina Wajiro Shege met the same character who disrupted Kagema Barrio a week ago, and that is where they gave out the money for the chaos, of course, to be executed. From my little investigation, I know Sabina Wajiro Shege has been going for money from a place called OP, through Matiang'i and through Kibisho. And I can give evidence if it's needed.
Honorable Nyoro.
So some I want to say categorically.
No, just before you go on, Honorable Nyoro, you raised very grievous allegations about your colleague Member of Parliament and even naming names of senior government officials. I would want you to give that evidence now.
Sam, I am not a madman and I know what I'm saying. And if anyone is aggrieved, they can of course take me to a court of law for defamation. So I know what I'm speaking about. A group of around 30 men met at Edgewood Hotel to plan chaos. I have my message here on phone, which I sent to Mr. Bare, the County Commissioner of Murang'a, and I informed him about the plans that were being mooted. And the reply he gave me was thanks. So Sam, what happened that morning, because I had Wanga throwing all manner of allegations. That morning, some fellows were ferried, some vulnerable youth from Kiadutu in Thika, and others from elsewhere. And of course, they were coming to disrupt the deputy president. Some people were hell-bent that he will not be holding the Harambee on Sunday in Murang'a. So they came and, of course, lit tires outside the church. And some, because your crew was there, you can see that the police were actually saluting those guys when they were burning those tires. So I want to say that there was a collaboration between the youth who were ferried and the administration, of course, through the police. But I'm not blaming the police. I am blaming where the orders came from, for police to come and police and protect the people who were burning tires. The photos that are going around, what happened is that afterwards, the locals from Kenya, of course, started chasing those guys away. And of course, some of the people who came for Harambee had already started arriving. And I can categorically tell you, Sam, that the photo which I saw in one of the newspapers on the front page, I agree, that is a guy from our team who is wearing a T-shirt. He has been in many functions. That guy are the people who actually record this live Facebook live whatevers through several pages that we have. And you need to check when that photo was taken. It was much later when chaos had already erupted, and of course when the police had already started throwing tear gas. The police were not throwing tear gas to the people who were burning tires. The police started throwing tear gas to the people who came to chase away the people who were burning tires. We can try to twist the truth, Sam, but the locals in Kenya clearly know that the people who burnt tires, the people who caused chaos, are the people who were transported via Sabina Wajiro Chege on a state-instigated violence.
Honorable Nyoro, of course, it's debatable, the role of that young man on the front page of the Daily Nation, but that's not our focus here. Our focus is on the truth. And you've raised serious allegations about the Honorable Sabina Chege, the woman representative for Murang'a County. But I want you to substantiate, because you said that she dished out money. How much was it? To whom did she give it to? And do you have any photographic or audio evidence to that effect?
Sam, I cannot want to do the work of Interior, which are already incompetent, and DPP.
But you are the claimant
here. They can go to Thika Greens. They'll find the cameras there. I'm speaking because... why am I fearing, Sam? Why would I be fearing? I'm speaking this thing for the right, so that if Wajiro Chege is aggrieved, if Matiang'i is aggrieved, if Kebisho is aggrieved, they can take me to a court of law for defamation, and I'll go with my evidence there. But we cannot continue kuchezea wa Kenya every time.
All right.
Can you just imagine, Sam? Can I finish?
Yeah, go on.
Sam?
Yes, go on.
Can you just imagine? We were the hosts with Alice Wahome. Then some fella in the evening purports to tell us that we are being summoned, that we are part of the people who planned to disrupt our own meeting.
Who's that fella?
How can I have a wedding, Sam, and then IG of police, of course you saw through the media, telling us that we are being investigated. He has ordered arrest.
Don't you think that's a bit contemptuous of the Inspector General? You're calling him just a fellow. I thought he's just doing his job.
Sam, I'm just disappointed by the way we are trying to politicize our administration and our men in uniform, and that is why the same people who are given the role to be the bosses of our police force, they are making it to be a gang. And that is why I'm referring to him by that title. There is no way, Sam, I would attend my wedding and then myself as the groom, when the pastor asks if there is any person with a reason why these two people should not be joined in holy matrimony, then I'm the guy raising the hands. There is no way I can burn my own house. There is no way I can invite the deputy president in Murang'a. Then you tell me we are the same people. How can you disrupt your own meeting? They need to do their job and stop the shenanigans and stop the politics. And that is why I'm very angry, Sam.
Honorable Nyoro, we'll get back to that, but I just want to dissociate Citizen TV from those allegations that you made about Sabina Chege. Those are your views, and I'm sure at the right time you'll be in a position to substantiate them if you have any evidence indeed. But let us focus on what happened to two families in Murang'a County by listening to the voices of the relatives that lost their loved ones in the events of Sunday.
Toka sahi tunaongea na sina brother mwingine. Na unaona wazazi wangu saizi ni wazazi, sigojei mwingine. Sasa ni huyo tulikuwa nategemea. Naweza sema naweza penda haki yake ipatikane, hata kama itaonekana na sitamuona tena.
Tulipigiwa simu na hospitali, tukaambiwa Christopher amepelekwa huko hosi akiwa ina critical condition, alikuwa ameumia sana. Tukaambiwa tuende ndio tupige signature apelekwe Kenyatta Theatre.
Siasa itatuua, tunaacha familia zetu na kilio, watoto wetu tunawaacha, na sio tumetumiwa na mtu na pesa zenye anakupatia, si pesa hata unaweza kula hata siku mbili.
Honorable Gladys Boss, of course, those are two families mourning their loved ones who had left home quite healthy, but never to go back. Now the families are having to plan funerals. And these are families that have lost their loved ones because of what would be political disagreements or clashes coming out from politics. We are too far away from the election. And what level of responsibility do you think the politicians need to take in as far as protecting lives and property of people, even as they go about their businesses in the political field?
First, my deepest condolences to those families that lost the young men. I think it's extremely sad. And even as a parent, no one ever wants to go through that. And it's extremely painful. And Sam, what I would like us to focus is just imagine this scenario. If the deputy president is scheduled to go to a certain area, usually it is standard procedure that there will be intelligence officers in the area, there will be police in the area in advance, there will be even some in plain clothes, because they will scout the area for security purposes. So it is an impossibility that people can enter into a place, set tires alight without the police knowing. So we must give the responsibility to it is. It is the responsibility of the police to protect us as politicians. When we go for any rally, it is a requirement and it is their standard job, their daily job, to protect us and to provide security. If today anyone called, even if I called a rally in Wasingishu, the police would obviously provide security automatically. That is the reason why the police have that job in the first place. So let us stop trying to take away the responsibility from the police in this sense and begin to blame politicians. I did not see any politician there. I never saw Dindi Nyoro or Alice Wahome or all the other MPs who are there setting the tires alight. The pictures show them being actually tear gas even inside the church. I think it's a shameful time in our country. I mean, the church is sacred. How dare the police throw tear gas into a church? How dare they allow that that violence to be able to happen before the deputy president's arrival? They must be asked, the police officers who are on duty in Kenol, where were they when all this began? You must put it squarely on them. And then, because if they had prevented the entry into by those people who came to burn the tires in front of the church, then this would not have happened. They should have prevented the initial violence so that there isn't a counter violence, because after that there was mayhem. So let's not let the police get out of this. But it is obviously and very clear when you look at what transpired that somebody was hell-bent. Certain people were hell-bent on ensuring that they mar the visit by the deputy president with violence, so that they can blame the host politicians for the violence. So that is clear. And as you've heard from Honorable Didi Nyoro, he notified the police commissioner. And again, something else that we must make clear is that it is not the responsibility of Honorable Ndindi Nyoro to provide evidence or to go and investigate. All he has to do is say what transpired, and which he did at the beginning, because he informed the county commandant, as he says, or the county commissioner. So the police should be investigating by now. Difficult to undertake that investigation unless the police are compromised in this case, which I think is. And if you talk to any normal Kenyan today, no Kenyan will tell you, I feel safe because the police are there. In fact, the moment they see the police, it's either the police wants to attack them or beat them up or ask for money. I mean, nobody knows. Today we don't feel safe, and that is a larger conversation we must be having. That we need to begin to change our police force so that we begin to feel safe when we see the police. Because the Kenyans don't feel that, and this is an international conversation going on.
Honorable Boss, let's not make this conversation about what it's not, because you're talking about the politics of violence and the events that we see at political meetings. I want to get to you, Gladys Wanga, but before I do so, allow me to raise this question with Honorable Nyoro, because in several meetings we see politicians like yourself mobilizing people to attend their meetings. I mean, this is normal when it comes to holding such events. For yourself and your colleague Alice Wahome, as the hosts, did you do any mobilization? And if you did, which people did you ferry into wherever? Honorable Nyoro, we can't...
that we transport.
No, let me just check that again, because we could not hear you. So just start off with the response on whether you mobilized anybody to attend the meetings in Murang'a.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
The only people we mobilized are the members of parliament who came, of course, to give money to the Harambee, because we thought, or we always know, it's the responsibility of the hosts who were this time the church, of course, to mobilize their congregation when there is such a function. And some I have to put it very, very categorically, because I listened to the allegations of Honorable Wanga. Wanga, deep down your heart, you know that we don't need to mobilize anyone for any of our meetings, because we have our supporters across. And every region that we go, we have our supporters and hustlers waiting for us. And I am sure, Wanga and Sam, you must have watched the meeting in Keno after the church, after the disruptions, after the police were ordered to throw tear gas in church. People could not be scared and intimidated. And outside there were thousands of people, locals from Murang'a. So you want to tell me that we are so rich and we have so much money to give all those people? Wanga, Sam, you must have seen the meeting in Githurai, a sea of humanity. How on earth? Where would you start mobilizing that kind of a crowd? So I want to tell Wanga, you know how politics is played. Just play your politics well and don't confuse Kenyans. Then there is any politician who has the capacity to mobilize the kind of crowds that we got. We had no reason to mobilize. Some, we are going for a church Harambee. We were not going for politics. And of course, we know for sure that the people of Murang'a, most of them are hustlers. So we never needed to mobilize anyone.
Okay.
I want you to do, Sam, because I'm sure you have the capacity to do that from where you sit. Visit the families in Kiadutu. Let us go backwards, because that is where the mobilization of these people who came to disrupt came from. Let us ask those families, who is these people who actually came here to recruit these people? Because I'm sure there are so many others who went back to their homes. They can be able to get a trail from who paid them, because they were paid. I listened, and it's very unfortunate to the sister. I have just listened to the sister of one of the bereaved, one of the deceased. And it is very unfortunate, Sam, because it is very clear these people never left home out of their own volition, or they did not leave home just to attend Keno for a Harambee. These people were mobilized. They were being paid. I have heard they were being paid 2,000 shillings. It is so easy for the police force, and it is so easy for the system and the so-called deep state. Why can't you go to these people, ask them who recruited you, who was paying you? Then we can be able to get a very clear trail, other than shifting this kind of political blame games.
Honorable Nyoro, if you have so much information, why are you saying that you're not going to honor the invitation to go and give your evidence to the DCI in Nyeri?
Because some what they are trying to do is to help us sanitize and cleanse their mess. Let me tell you some from our political divide, the so-called Tanga-Tanga. If I had anything to do with this chaos, I would not be talking to you now, and you know that for sure. So the predicament and the paradox with the people who should be arresting us is that they were part of the mess. And if there is any people to be arrested, it is the people who they used, like Sabina Shege, and of course themselves, because they were part of it. So you want to tell me I have capacity to order police to throw tear gas in churches. And you also tell me, Sam, that myself, from where you know we are in a corner that is called as a Stagataga, in reference to this government, you want to tell me I'll be roaming here with freedom if they knew that I was involved in it? What they are playing is to play politics and to whip emotions by purporting to summon myself and Alice so that they can try to shift the blame from themselves, who are the planners and the financiers, to the people who are the victims and who we are the hosts.
All right, Nyoro, we'll continue that conversation. But Honorable Wanga, so now, of course, Nyoro there says that he knows the people that are responsible, says he'll not go to give his evidence or what he knows because he feels that the police are trying to clean their own mess. But still, I get back to the conversation of these families that have lost their loved ones. And it's not the first time that people are losing lives due to politics. And I'm just wondering, 21 months to the next election, what do we do so that politicians are responsible despite the circumstances that they went to convince Kenyans to be on their side?
Yeah, Sam, it's unfortunate that I just turned into a spectator in this conversation because these people have spoken for too long. And if you heard Ndindi speaking, he did not bother to send any condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. He did not bother. He couldn't be bothered. And that shows you the attitude of the Tanga team. Do they really care? I mean, and secondly, we know William Ruto. We know, I mean, we are not new in Kenya. We are not visitors in Jerusalem. We know the trail of violence, you know, that has checkered his political career. Not just violence, deaths, murders, you know, and this will not be lost to us. The politics of if I don't get it, people would rather die. We saw it in 2007. We saw how people were evicted. We saw how people were murdered. We saw how children were thrown back into churches when they were trying to escape and burnt in there. So
Honorable Wanga, I'm having challenges. I have to say that I'm uncomfortable with that because I've not seen any court of law find the deputy president guilty of that. So I would ask you that you
Sam, I'm just saying the association. And Sam, you allowed Ndindi Njoro to throw people's names in this show. It is very unfortunate without any evidence. He has said that Honorable Sabina Chege, who is not here to defend herself or you know, on this matter, he just said that she planned and organized the violence in Murang'a. And when you asked him to substantiate, he wasn't able to substantiate. At least I know that there were charges in the ICC to the deputy president on these matters. And I know that those were, you know, made there. So, you know, at least those were done. But Ndindi just spoke here. He talked about Sabina Chege organizing violence. He talked about Sabina Chege collecting money from OP. And I'd like to say this. What happened in Murang'a, in my view, as somebody who was not there, and this has happened in other places, because we want to raise emotion. And the face of the violence, as I can see it on the newspaper there, is somebody wearing a T-shirt of the deputy president. And I already told you, these people were transported by none other than Nixon Korir from Nairobi here. They were transported to go and cause violence in Keno, in Murang'a. If you are that popular, why do you need to transport supporters to run on the streets of Murang'a? Why don't you let the people of Murang'a, the so-called hustlers whom you don't care whether they die in your quest for the presidency, why don't you have them there themselves? The face of this violence is this gentleman who is from Nairobi, who has gone to cause violence in Murang'a. And if what Ndindi is saying, that they are so popular, and they have all these people, then they don't need to worry. They don't need to transport people. They don't need to cause chaos. There's another picture doing rounds on social media of somebody who has been seen with the deputy president, is the one stoking the fires. And I'm sure even Ndindi Njoro has seen those pictures, stoking fires on the streets of Murang'a. And that person has been seen in pictures with the deputy president. The people who organized this violence, and if they were not fearful that they did, they would go to the DCI. They would not call the Inspector General of Police names. They would go and say, this is what I know as far as this violence is concerned. And if Ndindi was speaking here, after coming from giving his evidence to the DCI, then I wouldn't mind. But coming to speak here, coming to throw names here, yet he knows they had to mobilize as many people as possible. We've seen it. We've had it. they usually have to get all this mobilization money to bring people to the places where the DP is going, so that he looks like he has come into some spontaneous crowd, which is not usually the case.
All right. Honorable Wanga, I hear you.
And let me tell Ndindi something. I have been there of this politics of crowds and trying to show that you're popular through crowds. It doesn't pay. It will not make William Ruto the president of Kenya by pretending to have crowds. You know, and this issue of hustler mentality, I don't know, this hustler or that, the reality of the matter is the very people walking around claiming to be hustlers and giving people wheelbarrows are the people who have dried up the coffers of this country and using the taxpayers' money that you have gotten through alternative means to pretend that now you are a hustler and you care. Unacceptable.
All right, Honorable Wanga, I hear you clearly. So names, more names and more names. So last, the three of you, if you have to name anybody, please substantiate. If not, please avoid those names. But also coming out clearly that money mobilization, political mobilization is name of the game. I don't know where we go after here, but we take a short break. When we return, we'll be back with more on what is transpiring to be the politics of violence in the country.